Hey fragrance friends and fanatics, it's Benjamin here at the Scentaur Fragrance Channel. I really appreciate you stopping by today. Thank you so much for being a frag head and maybe even a frag addict like I am. So let's talk about BLVD from the house of Scents by Bay. This is a new indie niche house on the scene. I have a review of each one of their fragrances so far coming out. And this one was sent to me. Of course, they want somebody out there to represent them, to showcase their fragrances, and to get some eyeballs on their product, and I'm happy to do so. So take this one with a grain of salt, or you can take it or leave it. But let's talk about this fragrance here today. Honestly, I have some mixed feelings about this one. I'm not going to give it the highest review, so look forward to the end of the video, especially, when we talk about the price. But what does this fragrance smell like? What are we even talking about? This is a fragrance that has some orange kind of going on the top. Then it has a little bit of peppercorn. I have a bunch sprayed on my hand here. And honestly, that peppercorn is more of a very laid back peppercorn. If you've ever crushed fresh peppercorns, they can have like a sharpness to them. They can have a unique, almost citrusy, sharp quality about them. I really like the peppercorn quality in here, but it is a little bit more laid back and a little bit more of the red peppercorns. They're all the same type of peppercorn, but they're aged differently. They can be green, red, black, and maybe even other colors. But the top here doesn't really stand out to me a lot. The orange isn't a huge player. What the biggest player in this fragrance to me is the linden blossom. And if you don't know about the linden blossom, it's used in teas. It's a fantastic type of ingredient. And here in this fragrance, it's adding this very mellow, almost like a white floral that acts like an incense. And it really is kind of bringing the fragrance a little bit more mellow, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more smooth. I wouldn't say creamy, but definitely a little bit more laid back, and it definitely tones down all of these notes and helps round out the fragrance, really pulls them together. I like how Scents by Bay has a core middle note that really is more of the big player of the fragrance, and all the other fragrances are kind of wrapped around them like a ball. And it kind of gives the impression that their fragrances use a lot of musk, which actually is one of the easiest and maybe laziest way that perfumers use, to make fragrances actually smell very smooth, well-rounded, and well-composed. You can just add a lot of musk and round out the rough edges. Here, this fragrance is wrapped around that linden blossom, which is a very interesting, fascinating note. In the dry down, there's some sandalwood, and there's supposed to be a few other notes, but I really just don't notice them very much. I notice a little bit of the sandalwood. This fragrance, honestly, maybe becomes a little bit mineral-like. There's nothing in this fragrance to me that would make this fragrance smell minerally. Perhaps, besides the combination of the Angela root, which again is here in this fragrance, adding again a little bit of this dry, laid back, almost like a white floral tinted papyrus quality to this fragrance. It's a very clean fragrance, but yet it has this almost clothed or cotton-like feel to the fragrance. It does smell urban. It does smell metro. Not in me saying sometimes like I do that metro is a little bit more for people who are a little bit more city people versus maybe somebody who's more of a country person, but more metro is in like it smells of a city. It smells more like, you could go to, the park or walking down the street and there's the smells of cement and cars and that a certain type of quality of the air. It has that kind of quality about it. So this could be a nostalgic fragrance for some of y'all out there. It could be a fragrance that you feel is very good. This fragrance honestly reminded me of a fragrance called Citizen X by Ex Nihilo, which is more fresh, it's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit more versatile, but this fragrance distantly reminded me of Citizen X by Ex Nihilo, which I found very interesting. But overall, there are some more notes. You can look at the description and look at the fragrance. It's linked, down there in my description of my video. But this fragrance, it doesn't excite me. And I don't know why. This is fragrance out of the whole line. This one is probably the least interesting. This might be the safest out of the bunch. It has the least amount of personality, at least I feel. It's the most laid back. It's probably the one that you could easily get away at the office. The safest of the safest. All these fragrances are fairly safe. All of these are meant all the fragrances by Scents by Bay are meant to be highly versatile, easy to wear, but yet a little bit more complex and a little bit more interesting, especially compared to your average designer fragrances. So overall, it's good. But it's not a love. Dino was my favorite. Dino to me really stole the show with Viola. Dino maybe a little bit more liked by the men, and Viola a little bit more for the ladies. Those two are probably the ones that stole the show, of this brand, at least in my heart, for me. This one is probably my least interesting, or the one that interests me the least. I do have to be honest about that. But again, maybe somebody out there will like it. Maybe you've smelled something like Oud Mineral by Tom Ford. This doesn't have any of the oud quality, but maybe you realize that maybe you might want something with a little bit of a mineral touch. And maybe you said to yourself, maybe if I found something that was highly versatile and easy to wear and likable, maybe I will like it then. This might be for you if that is the case. But I don't see a lot of people going crazy for this. And again, we'll talk about the price at the end. That's kind of the killer for for this fragrance, in my opinion. Longevity wise, this is one of the ones of the bunch that it lasted about the same. Some of them last closer to 7, some of them are 8, 9 hours plus. This is easily a 7, 8 hour fragrance on clothes. It'll definitely last you through the workday. But this one maybe projected and had a little bit less sillage, still more on the average side, not terrible, but maybe didn't project as much as the others, at least on my skin. And I don't know why that is. This one just didn't have as much performance as some of the others did, at least, again, in my personal experience. So, compliment factor wise, I did go out and about. I did try to get people's opinions and feelings on this fragrance. It wasn't something I was crazy about. Other people felt like it was okay. They didn't go crazy for this. I don't think that this one is really a fragrance that's really going to be the biggest for compliments. It smells good. It doesn't smell bad. But it's a little bit more of a fragrance that I just don't find like it has anything really, really interesting to it. Besides the linden blossom, which is fantastic that they wrap this fragrance around a note that's kind of new, unfamiliar, untreaded territory. They took a little bit of creative risk. But the fragrance as a whole doesn't really have the fullness, and it just doesn't have any of a sparkle or a richness or something that really draws me into the fragrance. Maybe if there was some white amber, maybe a little bit of some incense, maybe some Palo Santo to this fragrance, and maybe off the top with the peppercorns, maybe you gave us some like white pepper, and maybe if you wanted to, you could throw in something crazy, like throw in some tequila in this fragrance or some vodka. But overall, I just don't find this too interesting. I have to be honest with y'all. But again, the price is the biggest killer. It's decently blended. It's pretty well composed, but the price is the biggest killer. You have to pay $60 for 30 mils, or about $100 odd for 50 mils. That, if you put that into perspective, that's about $200. For a full size bottle. Price per mil, you're definitely to the niche territory, and you got stiff competition. You got to stand up to the competition, and you got to beat the competition. For me, I'm putting this up against Serge Lutens, Cardinal Barcelonas. I'm putting this up against serious competition. Even some of the Nichonnets, if you get them on sale or if you find them at the right places, you can get them for that. And this certainly, to me, doesn't stand up. But I realize that some people like Maison Francis Kurkdjian or other types of aquatics out there, and maybe somebody out there is going to think that this is a great versatile fragrance for everyday wear. And that's not an aquatic fragrance. It's not a blue fragrance. It's not a generic fragrance. So that might be what's appealing. But I do feel like this might be something for a guy maybe who's a little bit more mature. I think you probably have to be 20 plus to like it. But these are my feelings. These are my opinions. Let me know if you've tried these fragrances, what you think about the notes. Check out the fragrances down below if you'd want to, if you'd like to. And thank y'all for being here today. I hope that you enjoyed my work, my review, my efforts. And again, thank you for being a fragrance lover. Scentaur Fragrance Family, rocks on. So I'll see you next time, everybody. Wear what you love, rock what you got. And if you want to help me out, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, and tell a friend. I'll see you next time, everybody. Peace out, wear what you love, and bye.